First, let's make sure that we thank all the speakers that make the YPN possible. Remember, YPN stands for Your Professionals Network. It is not Young Professionals Network or anything like that. Let's get the word out about that. I'm super excited about the YPN because we have a lot more people involved rather than just myself and Doug now. So we have a lot more chairs involved. So I do expect we're going to start to see this to grow over the next 12 months. You are all going to see, if you haven't seen already, we're going to start planning the calendar out 12 months in advance. So that way you can start to pick and choose. The advantage of having more people involved is there's more organization around it. And we're not just like running our own business and scrambling and doing that as well. But also it can't be possible without the annual sponsors. One of them is Eagle Home Inspection right here. If you guys don't know them, you haven't been here because they talk to everybody in the room every time they're here. Another one is Connecticut Real Estate Closing Attorney, and that's Kishore. He's going to be going over today the business planning, which I'm going to talk about in a second right before he comes up, because it's I'm really excited about that. The other one is Ask Insurance. I guess I'm the representative from that. It's a company that I own. Usually we have one of the insurance brokers here, but we have Two Brothers Moving. No one's here from that, but if you go to a lot of our events, they always have a table here, and they're good. Oh, nice. All right, that's good to hear. I haven't. I know I've sent their contact a couple people's ways, but I don't know if they've gone there. We have Pillar to Post. That's the Miranda team. They're always very nice. They're not here today either. No. All right, awesome. And then we have Prime Lending with Kelly McGinnis in them as well too. So she's not in the building either. The other thing I wanted to mention as well is Rachel has it. Every year we do a fundraising. It's for the Be Homeful for the holiday project right here. So it's very, very inexpensive. We sell houses, we build houses, we insure houses, we close houses, we inspect houses, and we're lucky enough to have these houses. How many of us here live in a house? Yeah, well, not everybody gets that advantage, and not everybody has the advantage of buying a house or anything like that. And what this does is $25 goes towards a fund, and it doesn't keep people just homeless, but it also prevents them from becoming homeless. Around this time of year, a lot of people are falling behind, whether it's on their electrical bill, their heat bill. And this really resonates with me a lot because growing up, my family fell behind quite a bit. That's why I love what I do, is because my family doesn't fall behind, but I'm helping a lot of people, find the security of home ownership, their own personal oasis, putting them in a house that they can afford. Because when I was younger, we actually lost our house, one of them, almost lost our second house, and we were constantly late on the mortgage. Constantly, I'd come home with the heat not being on. If you have an extra $25, you can donate to this. If you have closings coming up, you can tell your clients about it and you can donate to it. And I think that they'll get like a keychain or something like that. There's some type of program or something with closings. But I do know that in addition to us donating the $25, I believe CTR matches it, and then they get a bear or something like that, right?
Right. When people donate to Be Homeful, a child in the shelter gets a bear, book, or
Yeah. I think there was and there was one year, I forget, the first year that we did this, we raised so much money. Did we get a lot of people out of homelessness? It was like something crazy. It was astronomical. I don't remember what it was, but I remember hearing about it afterwards, and it was like we prevented everybody that was gonna be homeless from becoming homeless or something. It was some crazy statistic, and I was amazed by it. So if you have the means, please donate to it. If you don't have the means, just pass the flyer on to somebody that may have it, and that would be great. So that being said, I think that's all the housekeeping items, right? All right, I'm super excited today because Kishore is going to be going over a business planning workshop. My favorite time to do business planning is either October or November. And the reason why is because every year I do it, that means I'm getting in front of next year's business. Most people don't ever take the time to plan anything around their business. And I don't know what Kishore has in store with us, but I know for all of my companies, I do this religiously and for myself every single year. And most people don't take the time to do this. The perfect time to work on your business rather than in your business is during this time of year. This is when it gets slow. This is when everyone else is focused on what are they going to get their kids for Christmas, or where are they going to plan their next vacation, or whatever. And while it's slow, if we work on our business, then we create momentum for our high seasons and our low seasons. All businesses have high seasons and low seasons. Obviously, in real estate, ours is spring and fall are our two highest seasons. And a lot of our closings happen in the summer. And then if you work on your business, hopefully your lows are matching other people's highs. Does that kind of make sense? Mm-hmm. So Kishore is going to go over with us what worked for him. For years, he's been coaching realtors, and he owns a very successful law firm. And I'm super excited. I've known Kishore for probably 30 years now, almost, right?
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere around there. So thank you very much, Kishore.
All right, so what I'm going to start with is saying the business plan is worthless. And what I'm going to say, I'm going to explain why the plan is worthless. And I say it that way. It's actually the process of going through and making the plan is the most important part, right? And when we all talk about business plans, everyone thinks about what you take to a bank to get money and to get funding. But really what a business plan should be is it's your plan for the next 20, it's actually going further than 12 months, right? 24, 36 months is when I do my plans, I'm accounting for things, I'm thinking about things that far out. So my business coach has it set up that this is the structure, right? There's 7 main parts of any successful business. They have you as number 7, but I like you as number 1, because at the end of the day, if we're not taking care of you, or you're not taking care of you, or you're not reaching your goals, the business is pointless, right? So your first part is you, right? Your goals, your sales, your marketing, production, which is actually for all of us, it's the closing, the people. Now, I know most realtors are independent agents or individual agents. That doesn't mean you don't have people. There are still people that work for you. You just may not realize it. Your plant, which I'm going to talk about, your physical plant and your digital online plant, and then money and metrics. I'm going to start with, I call this, and my business coach calls this the magic statement. What do you do? I start my business plan with, what do I do? And I don't do it as, oh, I'm a real estate attorney. You know, I help clients solve problems, right? We all do. The real secret is for you guys, you're not helping people buy or sell a home. You're helping transition people into another stage of their life, right? You're ushering them into another stage of life. Think about things that we deal with. People are buying houses because they had another kid and now their house is too small. Well, it's not the house that they're worried about. They're worried about the space to take care of their families, right? They got a new job and they have to move across the country. They're not focused about their house. The house is just kind of one of the things they have to deal with. They're focused on now they've got to uproot their entire lives. We're there to help that happen, right? You get married. Typically, people buy houses either before they get married or after they get married, but it's a life event. Unfortunately, people get divorced, right? What happens? They split up. Now we have to get them 2 new houses, and maybe they can't afford it. So this is what you should focus on, right? Somebody's a loved one died. Don't talk about, I sell real estate. You help people transition to the next stage of life. That's the problem you solve. And maybe it's not a problem, but you're coming up with a way to, up level somebody's life. So I have 2, right? I partner with real estate agents so that we can grow our business. And I mistyped, but we can grow our businesses together, right? Because if I help you grow your business, in turn, it helps me grow my business. If you help me grow my business, you might be able to help you grow your business, right? I can't succeed and my firm can't succeed without you, and you can't succeed without having a great real estate attorney by your side. So that's my magic statement to people is I partner with real estate agents to help them grow their businesses. And so we can grow our businesses together. So starting with our goals, your personal goals. What do you want from your life in 2025? How many vacations do you want to take? How many days do you want to work? Right? Are there major events that you need to plan for? Right? Kids getting married, kids going off to college. So there's time you need to take away from things, right? I have young kids, so I've got to plan for spring breaks and vacations and end of year days off, right? So I need to put all those dates into my calendar and plan for that. That also means that I need to adjust my hours, my work weeks, right? Because if I'm now working 11 months out of the year, I need to make up that time somewhere. So I got to figure that out. Professional goals. What do you want to be known for? Right? Do you want to be known as the go-to listing agent for a specific town or region or section of the state? There are specific skills you need to work on, right? We all need to work on sales. Like, do you want to do a sales seminar, right? Is there a skill that you need to work on? Do you need to get better at negotiating, right? I need to be a better leader for my office. So next year, I've signed up for some classes that are focusing on leadership. I am in next week. I'm doing what's called I'm going to become a HOP leader, which is the home ownership program through the American Land Title Association. I want that designation because there's 15 people in the state, in the country, that have actually gone through the course and got that designation. I want to have that, so it's something I have to do, right? Who do you want to help, and how do you want them and how do you want to help them, and is there anything you want to be known for? That's really the professional goals. And the financial goals is, what do you want to take home, right? At the end of the day, we're all in a business. We want to make money, right? We need money to survive. We need money to pay our bills. We need money to take care of things for our kids. But I dare you guys to be creative. What do you want from your life? And be selfish in this section, right? Because if there's something you really want, you want somebody coming to your house and cleaning your house every day of the week. You need to plan for all that. And having the money to do that is what we need to now plan for. All right? Any questions on goals? So this is an outline for a general business, and I understand that realtors operate a little bit differently because, like I said, it's independent agents, individual agents, not teams. But the suggestion is 30% for operating, 30% for salaries, and your salary, you should pay yourself something on a regular basis so you have a salary, and then profit. And then I put 10% towards taxes, right? This is the structure how I run my firm. This is how I break down all of our I'll step aside so you can take pictures online.
Thank you. Could you share the presentation with us after?
Yeah. Yeah. So at the bottom, I put the note is treat your salary and profit separately, right? So if you know that you want to pay yourself $1,000 a week, you pay yourself $1,000 a week. At the end of a quarter, you make yourself another check for a profit. But that way you can leave some money in your business if you ever need it. Right? So now, based on my numbers, with 30%, you're going to see why I say that. So in our sales, we got to work backwards now, right? So if you want to make $500,000 of gross income, you need to work backwards, right? That's 1.5 million. I'm rounding it a little. It's a little bit more. You're going to do 1.5 million if you're doing 30% profit, right? So then you need to figure out how many transactions you have. And I know every agent tells me you can't figure out how much you make because every house is different. So I went and I looked up, if you look, I share a link so that I can't get into any trouble for sharing percentages. But the average home in Connecticut sells for $425,000. The average real estate commission is 5.25%. And I'm not telling you to use that number in your commission, but that's what the state average is. So when we take those two numbers and divide the commission in half, we get about 11,156. So that means you need to do about 44 closings a year. Right? Did I do that math right? That doesn't seem right.
I think if you didn't divide the number in half, it would probably be accurate.
Yeah, I think I didn't divide the number in half. 1 second. No, I think I did $500,000 of gross income. 1 second. Obviously, you can tell math is not my.
You'd probably be around 120 closings a year for that number.
What's that?
Right, me too.
No, yeah, 135 units, not 44. Sorry, but that's important, right? Because even my mistake, right? Doing 44 versus 135, your marketing is different, right? What you need to sell. So I have, based on your desired income, how many homes you need to sell, estimate the percentage you would need based off your purchase and sales, and then use your average transaction price, right? For anyone that doesn't know, that's all through the MLS, right? You can pull your average transactions through the MLS.
Do you want this to be interactive or you just want to?
I'm gonna bring it in interactive. Just
Okay.
some of this is,
I just have huge ADHD, so.
yeah, no. So my numbers are off because I based off of 45. So we're gonna stick with 45 closings. So how would we get 45 closings? Right? I've given you some ideas, but what do some of you guys think, right? What do you think in terms of activities that you could do to generate business to get 45 new closings this year?
Have a database, call past clients.
Call past clients,
Make
right?
a client profile.
Call, right? I've got social media, and when I say social media, I'm not talking. You don't necessarily have to pay for social media to make it beneficial, right? Get out there and talk about what you do. This is my biggest pet peeve. It drives me nuts when agents just post, "I sold the house for $500,000." Big whoop-de-doo. Talk about the horror that went into it. You know, for anyone that's interested, you can email me afterwards too. I have a monthly newsletter, and I call it the series of unfortunate real estate events. I have a 75% open rate on my newsletter because I'm talking about what you guys care about. Our clients do not care that you sold the house for $500,000. As a species, we're greedy. What's in it for me? So tell those stories. Tell them how you save that family the headache of selling it on their own, right? Tell them all the things you did. Some of the other ideas I had that work out that I do, I host webinars and seminars, right? I hold a monthly seminar in my office. I teach it at the YPN. I teach for NHMR. That's my way of getting out to my clients, you guys. Host a networking event for your clients. If you have a bunch of business clients, what would be better than hosting a networking event to get them new business? Or client appreciation events. I've done events for firefighters where we go to the fire department, drop off pizzas. Most fire departments do training once a week. Do you know how great it is and how appreciative they were that we dropped off pizzas while they were doing their training? Because otherwise they would have had to figure out what they're going to do for their dinner. Imagine getting done with your training. Now you guys got to make dinner. You're exhausted. We've done it, police department. I'm going to, if this will work. So create a marketing calendar. I'm sharing what American Land Title gives us, right? And I have to log in. I don't remember my password. It's all saved on my computer. But it gives me an idea, right? So in January, it's giving me topics for my clients. In June, it's talking to realtors, right? Build yourself a calendar of different things you can focus on. I personally think that if you're doing less than $600,000 of business, it's a complete waste to go spend money on Zillow, on Realtor, on any of those sites. I also will say do the math, right? I've sat down with a few of my agents and we ran the numbers. You're paying, most of those services, you pay 30, 40 grand at the end of the year after referral fees. What could you do with 40 grand for your business? Right? You could probably have qualified leads, but I'm not going to tell you not to use it. My advice is just if you're doing less than $600,000 a year in business, there's better options that are cheaper or free. Anybody have marketing ideas that they'd like to share with?
Yeah, I guess my name's Al. I don't know. Shake up. So I've been sending mailers for years. And recently what I've been doing is I started what it's called the Did You Know campaign. And my sphere of influence and past clients, because they don't, again, like you said, I've never posted like, oh, I sold this house or this amount of units or anything like that. I've always tried to come from like either education or tell a story. So lately, as of like the last 6 months, my people have been really enjoying this Did You Know campaign, and I'm just giving Did You Know random facts. I don't know if anybody in this room is on my mailer list, but like, like I said, did you know, like the moon is appraised at this value or whatever, and then I'll give certain like facts about the moon, like what it's made up of, how far it is from the Earth, random stuff that doesn't seem involved, and then I just write jokes in there because this is my personality. And I'll just say, hey, if you know the owner, I'd love the referral because I'm looking to get at this, and I just like, and most people read my stuff over the trash, but when I do call them or something like that, like the ones that do read it, they think it's actually pretty funny. So.
And that's what I was getting at with my newsletter. And then I'm assuming the same thing with Alan, right? Those are the things people want to read, right? It's something for that. It's easy, but it's something that's valuable, something that's interesting, right? Because I mean, I'm intrigued now that he wants to find. I'm gonna go and find somebody that owns the moon, owns a piece of the moon, just get Alan to sell, right? But like, it's funny, but that's what you're remembered from, right? You're remembered by the stories that you tell to people.
What I was just going to say is, as far as attention, that's the whole idea of marketing. Is that one of the very first things you want to do is get people's attention, and so that's what you're talking about. Is you're doing something that doesn't seem really real estate related, but you're making it relatable because of the jokes and things you throw in there.
It was like when I first met you two, you guys used to bring nuts everywhere.
Yep.
And everyone, it was a joke. It was like, I was talking about Ron's nuts.
I would love to do that, by the way, but hey, they've gotten too expensive.
Yeah.
It takes forever to make them. They're so labor intensive.
Yeah.
Is
So
it?
I apologize. They were so good. We'll have to think of a special occasion.
But that's what it is, right? That's the whole marketing, right? It's get attention, and sometimes it's gimmicky. And you know what? I think in business in general, we're scared to be gimmicky, and unfortunately,
I put recipes on our different
yeah.
things that go out now.
But Mary Ellen, you guys are unique. Not many people are like that. Not many people are like that, right? Most of the newsletters I get sent are boring, and it's about them. I don't care about them. Like,
Can I say one other thing that I do too? Like, because I know we do like social media training stuff every once in a while. It doesn't need to be that fancy. I walk through houses all the well, I happen to buy the houses, but also we get permission from your clients. Anytime I find something cool in a house, if you go to my social media, I'm throwing up videos being like, look at this weird clown I found in this house. Oh my God. And like I found this chess set once. And I put it in one of my videos and I talked about how I was going to bring it home to my son and teach him chess. I still, every once in a while, share it up to my stories and get people to hit me up going, hey, did your son learn chess? Yeah, not only did he learn it, he's like now beating me at chess. But it's just like kind of like, it's still related to the housing market a little bit at the same time.
I mean, I have an agent that goes around and takes pictures of doorknobs.
Yes, I know an agent that did the front doors of Connecticut or something.
Yeah, and then I've got another agent that goes around and will post like, for whatever reason, Hampton has a lot of old houses. So, well, Connecticut, but I'm saying this agent I see is in Hampton, and she takes pictures of like the old toaster that's basically a vent above the radiator. So they take pictures of that. So you really could have fun with it. But that's marketing, right? That's marketing. It's just getting your name out there. It doesn't have to be as formal as this. It could be fun. All right, so here's what I said, the questions to ask yourself when you're planning. Who are your ideal clients? Where are they spending time? And I ask agents all the time who their ideal client is, and they say everybody and anybody. I'm sorry to say that's not true, right? Your $50,000 pain in the ass client is not going to be the client you want coming back to you, right? The one that is going to be nitpicking because the color of the paint is blue and they want it to be white. So they're walking away from the house, right? It's things like that. So you do have an ideal client. Where do they spend their time, right? What kind of budget do you want to spend? Are there seasonal activities you should do? Like, if you ski, is there something you can do at the ski resort to get your name out there? One thing that I found very useful when I start doing this is defining what it means for something to be successful, right? I know a lot of agents that buy billboards. And my question to them is, how do you know they're successful? Right? I don't even have to go that extreme. Let me go to my colleagues. If I get called from Avo, which is ourrealtor.com, once a week, and I say, give me one of the attorney's names and let me call them and find out how much return they're getting on it. Every attorney I've called has no clue. So, your better bet, you can come give me the money. I'll be happy to take the money from you because it's the same thing, right? You're wasting it. You're literally burning your dollars by doing something like that. So in line with that is you need to figure out how to track your activities, right? If you're going to buy a billboard, put a unique number on there. And the reality is billboards are probably a waste.
Yeah, I've had them over the years, and I always have a Google number, and it tracks them. You had no calls.
Well, so here's
your friends take pictures of it.
But so here's where and this is because we are all in business, so we look at things differently. But we drive down. My in-laws live in Norwalk. We drive from here to Norwalk at least once a month. I make my wife look at the billboards, and I ask her when we get to Norwalk, what billboards did you see? What are the phone numbers for the businesses? She does not remember a single one.
It's hard to read them.
Right? Okay. She remembers Golf Law because they're outrageous, but she doesn't know their phone number, right? She doesn't know anything. She doesn't even remember the name of the company. I remember the name of the company. Yeah, so what good does it do?
Yeah, she's up on it.
Yeah. But then the other part of this is, so I remember Golf Law. So if I need to look her up, I'm not going to look at the billboard to see what her number is. I'm going to Google it. So you're never going to find out if that billboard is worth it.
I feel like if you're gonna do that, it needs to be something so different from everything else that it's totally memorable and
That's-
everybody's
makes
talking about it.
Yeah.
It's brand
Well,
recognition.
I actually did one a long time ago, and I did get a lot of traction off of it. I had more people calling me up. I didn't get a lot of business out of it, but everybody called me up and said,
Right.
the way to Haven, I saw it, wow,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
So it's really new.
Yeah, so it got me attention.
Right, but it got you
The
the
other
attention.
thing that I
I think it's
find,
brand reinforcement.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. You need
That's
how many
it,
touches
yeah.
in order for them
Well-
to
Brand
get right?
first.
But what I was going to say there is, you guys don't need to be on that level,
no,
right?
I can't afford it now.
I'm going to ask, if you don't mind sharing, do you remember what you paid for the billboard?
I still have one running in Stratford.
Oh.
Still. I've had it for 7 years.
What does it
On
cost, if you don't mind
train
asking?
They call those the workhorse billboards, the small ones,
Oh,
not
yeah.
the ones on 95 and
Right,
stuff.
right, yeah.
Those are, I think I've won those before. I've never paid out of pocket for a 95 one. I've had companies pay for them for me. But I've had, and I think it's like, I think the whole thing's like $1,800 a month, but I split it with someone, so it's like whatever. And again, I get no business from it. I get friends and family just constantly.
Yeah.
So-
And the only reason why I did it there 7 years ago, because I stopped selling for a little bit, I just got back into sales, is because I had like outrageous market share in that town. And all it is my friends taking pictures of
Well,
it.
you keep your face and name.
And the picture's still from 7 years ago. So everyone, all they do is take pictures of it saying, is this really you?
Yeah.
But so, my point is,
and
and-
12 years, I've seen his face for a lot of
Yeah.
years. He was down by,
He actually
down
said
by
to
the
me, "Oh, it's
dock street, and that hey, talk to me about it. And
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't get more visitors, because when things are just right, you sometimes don't even think about what's right in front of you day to day. And certain spots in our town have a billboard, and you're like, why do we have a billboard there? And so one person or one business is just there forever, and you're like, huh,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good spot for a sign. And
But my-
whatever it is, but it keeps your face in front of them, person in real estate to call.
but my thought is $1,800 a month you could spend in a better place. That's my point. I'm picking on the billboard because I feel like a lot of people want to go with billboards because it's,
How many mailers could you do for that much?
Right.
But I also find the mailers don't get me anything. I've did them for over 4.5 years, and I really.
but see that,
And
but if you-
and it was hard to track.
but if you don't track it, you have no way of knowing.
So, can I just say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
'Cause, not to slow you. None of it's gonna get you any, in my opinion. None of, my mailers don't give me anything unless I do call and text and
Yeah,
invite people
no,
to
you're right.
events.
The most.
So the only time I
yeah.
talk to people about it is when I'm active. CRM.
Yeah.
Going back to bring this back on that speed, I'm really glad that you wrote this down because every single year, I call this a client profile. I write my new ideal client profile.
I have one on each, well, maybe not, I mean, 2 of you, 3 of you. I have a profile for each agent I work with.
What does mine say?
But a general client, like who
Oh, I have
targeted
a-
for that year.
I have that from NAR. See, NAR gives me that, so I don't create one every year. NAR creates one every couple of years because it's got the average profile for an agent,
Yeah.
right? So I don't recreate it every year. But I have a profile for each agent that I work with, right? I actually, we're now starting a profile for each attorney we work with because there's some that I want to avoid. Moving on to production, right? This is really, what do you do? What systems do you have to improve your closing process, right? What does your process look like, right? From the start to the finish, right? Again, this doesn't really make sense because you guys are individual agents, but if you added agents and you wanted to build a team, wouldn't it be nice if you could give them a little guidebook to get started? Also, the more you McDonaldify your business, the easier it is to scale. The better experience clients have, right? Because it's consistent day in and day out. And then the other thing I said is, a lot of agents don't know this, but is it more profitable to be a listing agent or is it more profitable to be a buyer's agent? And I know everyone just goes straight to being a listing agent, but if you don't run the numbers, you don't know, right? You need to know what does it cost you for your average buyer and what does it cost you for the average seller, right? And then you can figure out where you need to spend your effort. People. Who do you need to hire? And that does not mean that you need to go hire a bunch of people to work for you, but I say in-house, right? Do you need assistants? Do you need other agents working for you? Do you need an executive assistant that's just going to manage your email while you're in meetings? Outsourced, right? It is very easy to be a global business in today's day and age. There's lots of companies that will help you find a marketing assistants in the Philippines, right? I have a marketing assistant in Nigeria, and I have a executive assistant in South Africa, right? I had a marketing assistant in the past that was in El Salvador, right? El Salvador. So you have people that you can hire that work for you, but are independent and don't have to be on payroll or even be physically in the same country. Referral partners. I told you I have my list of realtors. I have my list of mortgage brokers, and I audit them every year. And some people go from an A to a B to a C to a D to an F. If you make it on my list that says an F, I do my best to make sure you don't call me again because I don't want to work with you. But you guys should be doing the same thing. Every year, right? I would love to say, come use me, we're the best at everything, but there might be a time that we're not a good fit, right? I've had agents that have come and gone. You guys every year should audit that list. Maybe you don't have the best attorney anymore. Maybe you don't have the best mortgage broker. Maybe you don't have the best home insurance agent or the inspector, right? Maybe you need a new inspector. If you need a new inspector, call Ron because he is phenomenal. Yes, call Alan for a new insurance agent. Well, if you need a new attorney, I'm happy to sit down with you and tell you what we do differently, right? I would say the biggest red flag is if you reach out to us and we don't want to sit down with you, that's a big red flag. But I look at things like, are you guys driving me nuts, right? Do you make my transaction easier or harder? Do you only bring me clients that are a complete and utter disaster, right? Do you bring me clients that, do you refer a mortgage broker that is slow and will cause delays left and right and is not responsive? I have a whole slew of questions that I audit my agents that I work with, right? If there's something I can come to you and say, hey, you work with Ron and Ron's not been doing a good job lately. Can I introduce you to somebody else so we can keep our relationship going? Because I build a relationship with you guys that I'm at that level. And I'm using Ron just because he's here. It's typically a mortgage broker that I'm giving a hard time to about. Think about who do you need to hire too is, do you want to build a team? Do you want to be an individual agent? And then I say, create a job description for each role you're doing, because eventually if you want to grow beyond just being yourself, you need to be able to hire somebody and talk, have that. So like when I started my firm, I had job descriptions for myself, even though I was being a secretary and being the attorney. So I kind of separated that out. And then review your current teams. So talking about the plant, physical versus virtual. You have a physical plant, your office space. Do you need one? And I will tell you, everybody has an office if they realize it or not. You might just have an office at your home. right? Or is there equipment that needs to be replaced in the next 12 to 24 months, right? Start planning so you can start saving for it. Do you have the appropriate insurance in place, right? If you have clients coming to your house, do you have the appropriate insurance so if somebody falls on your property and they get hurt? Are you going to be covered? If you're driving your car, talk to your car insurance companies because you're all independent agents. Do you have the right car insurance? If you get in a car accident while you're working, is your personal car insurance going to say we're not going to cover you because you were working? It's something important to ask. Call one of Alan's guys. The digital plant. What do clients see? Online presence, right? Google, all that, newsletters, and please stop sending newsletters to just talk about all your listings again, like we talked about. Every realtor, that's what I get. I don't get anything that's actually useful. Think about things that are useful, right? Quarterly newsletters. What would be the best thing to do in a quarterly newsletter? Think about the change of season. What does your client need to do with their house now that it's fall? You're the expert then. They're going to think of you and they're going to feel appreciated that you reminded them to change their filters in their furnace. Or if they have an older house, check their batteries on their fire alarms. That is something very easy to create. You create it once, you could set it and forget it because every year you're going to tell them to do the same exact things to their house quarterly. And you're not also over the top and bothering them. Plus, it's easy to create. Social media, posting about what's going on in real estate, the crazy stories we saw, how you helped your clients, you saved your client's deal because you did something that nobody else would. I recommend reviews. I think too many people try to use real estate related ones. Google is probably your best bet. And here's the other benefit. If you play Google's game, Google prioritizes you. If you search closing attorney in Connecticut, my firm comes up was one of the first. I don't pay Google money for that. I play Google's game. I have a Google My Business page. I get Google reviews. I have my website changed so a little every couple of months. So I know Google's game. I have a team of people that work for me, and independent people, but they work for me, that are going to make sure that I stay on top of Google. Play Google's games, you win. And then a CRM. Do you need to review your CRM? Do you have a CRM? Does everybody know what CRM stands for? Okay, good. They're not all equal, so play around, learn them. And is there anything anyone wants to comment here on the virtual side of it? Right, I know you guys don't have physical offices.
I always have a question, I apologize, Bob Jacob with Webster Bank, I apologize, I'm late, good to see everybody. On the CRM piece, we all know what they are, how many people maintain them themselves and sell? That's what I always find is that discipline to go back, because I know if I update them, it causes me to focus on it, you go back and realize what a good contact is, right? If I just went through my phone, I can tell everybody, I'm gonna go the exercise, go through your phone on recent contacts, send a few of them a text, say, hey, how you been? Someone's gonna call back, they're gonna get back to you, right? It's just, we gotta stay on. That CRM part, getting back to be consistent with it, recording, I'm a community liaison officer, I'm also a licensed mortgage originator, so I spend a lot of my time out in the community, following up on those opportunities that I know people would want to do business with, someone they're familiar with. It's just very difficult for like trying to do time blocking, timing. Just think curious, that good for you guys, that's always.
So I didn't personally raise my hand because I don't do it. I have somebody in my office that does it for me.
But I know it's valuable
Right.
when you stay up
So-
on it, and you use it for what it's supposed to do, it certainly can help.
And that's the other part of this, right? So you guys may get messages from me and it's not even me anymore, right? I have people in my office that I've trained to speak as me, right? So you get emails from me, you get messages from me, and that's the advantage of technology now, right? And I'm sure the next 5 to 10 years, AI is going to figure out a way to make that easier too. But like I have an executive assistant that responds to emails for me, responds to some of the office texts that we get. So there's ways to do this too, right? There's ways that you can leverage your time. If you know you're not good at it, I'm awful with it. I love interacting with people, but I'm awful with keeping everything up to date and organized. So I have somebody in my office that I go back to my office, I send her a voice message. She goes and puts everybody into my CRM and she makes the updates that I ask her to, right? So that's the other part of this, right? Bob says you can do it, but you don't necessarily have to be the only person to do it. If you're busy, you can have somebody sitting in your office or halfway across the world that can update your CRM for you. So Money and metrics. Do you have a budget? So who has a budget for 2024? Real estate. We're focused on real estate. Right?
I budgeted off of what I spent last year and then figure out if I can afford more.
But you should have it written down for looking forward so that, here's my example, okay? Rachel says the summer shindig's coming up. I'm like, shit, I don't have the money for it right now, right? And that's not the truth, but, right? I don't have the money for it. I spent everything. I needed to be there. It hurts my business if I'm not at these events, right?
Yeah.
If you don't plan for it,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be there, right? I have it in my budget. I unfortunately, I think I missed it because I was busy with something else, but that's what it works, right? If you put it in your budget, you know that the money's gonna be there for it, and you'll start planning for it. I wrote, do you know if it's more profitable being a listing agent or buyer's agent? It might surprise you. I know when I ran my numbers for my firm, when I did this exercise, I thought being on the buy side was much more lucrative for my firm. When I broke it down for the hours that are spent on a purchase versus a sale, sales were far more lucrative. It surprised me because I make a bigger dollar amount in total for a purchase than I do a sale. Are there systems that need to be created related to financing, your finances? Is there something you can do so that you make the habit of looking at your books every month? Planning going forward, right? Doing a cash flow statement, kind of having all those books, the financials there in place. And then do you know how long it takes for your average client from the time you meet the client to the time you get paid takes? Right? That's important because if you know your average client takes 6 months, well, you better get started now for somebody that wants to close in June. Right? It also helps you figure out how much money you need and where you're going to get money if you're in a crash crunch. I didn't do a lot here because I don't want to overwhelm everyone. This is my favorite area of my budget, though. I mean, my business plan. Any questions? All right. Then the last section I do is overall. I review the plan. It doesn't make sense. I'm willing to do those with you guys if you want one-on-one strategy sessions. I'll sit down with you, poke holes in your plan, and figure out how to make it better. I like actually doing it in groups of 5, right? So what I do I actually do it in January, but I go to a conference and I sign up for my conference. We sign up and there's 20 attorneys where we all go around and we sit in a hot seat and we have to defend our plan to the group of attorneys, right? And say, well, this is what we're willing to do. This is why it makes sense. And then somebody says, well, what about this? What about this situation? And it makes your plan better because you are kind of short-sighted because you're in it, you know all the details versus somebody sitting on the outside looking in might be able to challenge it better. So if you're interested in doing something like that, let me know. I'm happy to do that. Some tips. This is a living document. Print it out. I throw it in a binder and I take it with me. I do a quarterly business trip and I take it with me and I review it and I look at it. Did I meet what I wanted to last quarter? Looking forward, what do I need to get done? I was talking to some of you guys before. I went away last week. Normally when I go away in November, I build my business plan. And then I get my accountant to understand and agree that I write that trip off. So my wife and my kids are out during the pool and I'm a mix of in the pool with them, sitting inside the hotel room, working on my business plan. It's much easier to work on your business plan in a hotel room because there's no distractions of a TV. Well, I mean, there's a TV, but it's easier to be less distracted by it. You don't have dishes to take care of. You don't have to take care of laundry. You're in a clean and sterile environment. So I plan a trip every year. I take that week, I work on my business plan, I read a book, and then I come back and I give my receipts to the accountant and we write it off. The other thing I recommend is think outside of the box and don't be scared to dream. Planning, plan out the year of your time. I don't know what I was trying to say there. But if you make a plan, your next 12 months is going to be more successful and less stressful. The other part of this is, and then somebody told me this morning and I didn't think about it. Do you guys get distracted easily? Yeah. You know the best way to not get distracted? Have a plan. right? Because if you know that you have a plan and you're not doing it, well, now you can really look yourself in the mirror and say, why am I not doing that activity? Why am I not doing that activity? Because you know you have stuff to do. The reason we get distracted a lot is because we are either avoiding something or we don't think we have anything to do. All right. So the little lesson, you guys, is just realize everything is a sales pitch. So I'm going to give you mine. My firm is amazing. Don't take my word for it. Give us a chance, send us a client, and let them tell you how great we are. The other thing is, we're talking about business planning. I'm building my 2025 calendar. Are there any topics you guys like to learn about? Legal, non-legal, business skills. Are there things that I can help put together to teach you guys?
I have run into a bunch of people that.
And I'm looking down, not to be rude, but I'm taking notes on this because I want.
No. It'd be helpful if I was able to coordinate a class, whether it was at a branch or in an office or somewhere where we could have like kind of more of a sit-down conversation, because with the inventory situation, I have a lot more family members that are wanting to buy a home from a family member. So there end up being issues with, if there's multiple people that are being bought out, but one's the parent and then that's leaving, you don't have to necessarily put the purchase price to include a gift back. Like there are considerations that have, so before you go deeding property, you think it's fine just to give something, like don't do that. But I run into this, even if we did it like an invite-only situation where, hey, you know what, I have a bunch of people that have called me lately, and I think that's a topic that a lot of people would like to know about, because a lot of people are living with family, or
Yeah.
a situation where it's intergenerational,
Yeah.
the older family members own it, and the younger ones would want to buy it.
And I have a lot of those deals where realtors still get involved.
And I think, and that's an area where, you know, a lot of people want to do their best, but that's clearly, that's a lane for you. To
That's
get
also a
them
lane for you
proper
guys,
advice,
right?
give them proper advice.
We talked about what webinars, seminars, workshops. That's probably a great workshop to team up with it, to get to your past clients, right? Especially if you know you have clients that have multiple generations. Like I said, I've had deals like that where we still have a realtor involved because the family wants somebody in the middle instead of fighting. So there, you know, it's a different structure with the payment, but it's something that I would recommend. Are there any topics still you guys want to learn?
It's come up a lot. I probably had 4 deals in the last 2 months.
Yeah, we work with a lot of people that do that too.
Yeah, and you just want to make sure, and again, I can do it at a high level, like I do money, right? So
Yeah.
that's my lane.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're like, you know what, you don't have to do that at 30. If you're ready to go to a contract, talk to the person that's really familiar with it.
Yeah. Alan, you
I think that a great attorney topic would be, on here before, is the probate ones, you know,
Yeah.
knowing,
Yeah.
And divorce.
Yeah.
knowing, yeah, divorce, and also probate too, but also not just knowing on our end, but also knowing what the attorney needs, because then documents, there's like the, thing that the client needs to go to the probate court and say that you know, the liens are all paid off and all that, because a lot of times when I'm talking to clients about probate, it's just
it's
me
done.
being able to fire those things off creates value to the point where they'll go with me or they'll refer me.
Right. And the other part of this is, I can tell you, like, we've got one now that the client went and got appointed the administrator and thought everything is done.
Yes.
And then she transferred their house to herself, which is a whole nother set of issues. But
Some little small tips too, maybe doing title searches before listings, because you don't know if there are a bunch of judgment liens on the and things like of that nature. Just a lot of like things that I've learned over the years.
Why don't we do a session called Family Dynamics in Real Estate? Because that pretty much could be anything. I mean.
There you go. That's a great topic.
Good, that's
No,
a
but I
good
mean,
wording.
All these things
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
A lot would fit under it.
But I
You could
think
do a
book is
series.
good.
That
You
would
can do a
be great.
series.
But having worked for my own family to sell a property that was not without.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
And especially on this.
those are the worst.
I mean, it was really hard.
Your own family.
But I do think the good part is, from a realtor perspective, like, there's gotta be a chance for everybody's lane to say, hey, here's when it is my lane.
Yeah.
You know, here's when it is right to have a realtor, right? So
And
that's
I
why
used
just
to-
making sure all the ducks are in a row, the proper documents are used, the verbiage is right, because it's a legal contract.
Well, in family, you know, I worked in 55 plus a lot, because I used to work for a builder
Yeah.
that built those communities, and sometimes the kids were unbelievably, when I say kids, they were like in their
Yeah.
40s.
They're
But sometimes they were incredibly helpful,
Yeah.
and other times they were the
They're
absolute
their own worst enemies.
huge problem
Yeah, they're
in
own
the
worst enemies.
transaction.
Yeah, they're their worst enemies. They just
Then
want
you
to
get guys
let me
mad
help
at
you.
Let me
Yeah.
help your parents.
Yeah, I mean, the family
Yeah,
issues
great,
are
great,
pretty
great
powerful.
idea. Yeah, great idea.
So if you do a title search for a listing, right? Does that title search can then go toward the closing? Or do you have to pay for another title search?
Usually the buyer does the.
The buyer will pay for another house.
Yeah.
So the buyer will have to pay again, can't
Anyway.
use. the
Seller-
previous.
The seller will pay for it,
I
and then
know
the
that,
buyer
but
will
the
pay for it.
seller pays for it, but the buyer can't get paid from using the seller's title.
So
search.
here's the reason.
You're gonna need a fresh warrant for
But here's the reason, right?
Okay, what's the reason?
a lien could be.
Yeah.
Because if I do a title search,
Yeah.
right, and somebody does it wrong, and then you're the next attorney, you're gonna get sued for my mistake.
Well, how do I know that you didn't do it wrong when you did it for me as a buyer?
You can sue so if I get sued,
You get title.
yeah, I would sue the title company would cover me then, right? That's why I don't do title searches independently. I use a title insurance company.
Well,
Because if
I didn't think you did it.
Right, if they mess up, it's on them, so it's just a layer of protection. Right? It's why online do-it-yourself stuff is dangerous, because when you screw up, you can't sue anybody. I have insurance for that reason.
I'd be really interested in, a discussion on outsourcing and virtual assistants.
On my list. It's on my list. I am putting together how to work with a virtual assistant.
That's
Because I've considered it, I've looked into it, I haven't pursued it, and I realize in many aspects of our business, because we are a family business and everybody, I only know how to do so much. I'm not as savvy with, social media and things like that, and I'd really love to be able to offload that to somebody.
Yep.
But.
And it's,
really.
and here's the nice part, right? You hire somebody, like, so my person in South Africa, right? She makes more than her counterparts in South Africa, but she makes less than a person like here. So it works out great for both of us. I'm not taking advantage of her because she's getting paid better than she would be if she was in South Africa, and it's helping my firm. But yeah, I already have that. I've been asked that a lot because I work a lot without outsourcing.
And I'm interested in it, but I've never really
Yeah.
utilized it.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in utilizing it, I just don't know.
And I do it, what I'm building is the skills, like what can you, like working with an assistant, plus how do you find the virtual assistant?
That's the big thing.
And how do you find a reputable one? Good one.
How do you handle confidentiality with that? Because especially in your practice, in our practice, there is, we have to be super careful about confidentiality.
So I work with a third-party company that is run by an attorney, so they've already dealt with the confidentiality. Yeah,
Okay, that would be my concern.
yeah, yeah. But you have them sign I mean, it's just like having an employee.
It is,
Right.
But I just feel like I have less control if they're in South Africa and they just got their name and how do I approve them and, whatever. I mean.
There's
Nowadays.
Agencies that.
there's agencies, but
Real estate, cyberbackers is one, they're real estate.
But even if you're not, if you're doing it, it's the same way as if you have an employee that works remotely, right? I mean, it's the same level of that. You've got to do what you got to do if you're hiring an employee. It's the same concept. It's just that you're not physically there.
I've just used five a number of times.
Yeah.
Just go get
So that's-
people, like, thing done.
That's the other thing. There are
Meet people and see how they do what they're
there are
doing.
services like Upwork and Fiverr where you can go hire independent contractors for a specific project, right? I have someone that does our brochures. I have another guy that I've done, like, I'll send him PDFs and I need you to convert it to, or Word documents, I need you to convert it to a PDF, a fillable PDF.
Yeah.
Right? And I need it done in
More than buying Acrobat and doing it
Yeah.
yourself.
and I need it done in 24 hours. Right? I've gone to the extreme of, all right, I'm going to bed. Send the guy the link, the stuff. I want it for when I wake up in the morning. And in 8 hours, it's done. Right? That's the other advantage, right? You can have somebody in the Philippines when it's morning here, it's night there, and vice versa. So there's a lot you can do. Any other topics anybody wants to? Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes.
All right, I wrote some stuff down. So my personal goal next year is to do 4 vacations next year. That'd be nice. I don't vacation that much.
So
And
then,
another one is to laugh more, like watch more comedy.
yeah. So Alan's going on vacation for 4 weeks, right? That means it's about 4 weeks,
Oh,
give or
4
take.
weeks?
Well, you said 4 vacations. I'm assuming you're going for a week at a time.
Like you, I count every like time away. Like if I travel over an hour and stay in a hotel, that's a vacation. No, literally. So we went to Denver for 2 or 3 nights. That was a vacation.
Oh,
Yeah.
We went with the whole
that
family.
would be-
You know what I mean?
Yes.
We went. We had a lot this year. We went to Bermuda for a 5-day cruise. We did Denver for 2 or 3 days. My husband was going on a work trip anyway, so we just dragged along.
That's great.
Then we did Toronto for 3 nights, and then Niagara for 2 on the way back,
Nice.
and the Cape for a week.
So I was saying,
This past year.
the 4 weeks, I was saying,
I really liked your idea about taking one vacation just for work. Like, I'm
Yeah.
calling it
Oh, yeah,
a work
that's
away.
great idea.
I called it a work away.
yeah. I don't take vacations anymore. Everything I do, because of the structure of my business, I've figured out a way that everything I do is a business trip.
Yeah, well, I do the same. I'm talking about actual work.
Yeah, no, I mean, mine aren't. Not saying mine aren't, but mine are real vacations. I figured out how to get the firm to pay for it.
Why not?
But what I'm saying to you is, so Alan's taking 4 weeks. I'm gonna say 4 weeks away, right? Now he needs to plan. There's 4 weeks gone, so now he has an 11-month year, not 12.
I got one. I'm going to Turks and Caicos in January. And
How long?
So I immediately emailed, because I'm a real estate investor too, I immediately emailed a realtor down there.
Yeah.
Look at Airbnbs down there.
Yeah.
So now it's a
Business vacation.
That was one of the things I did in Dominican. I tried to figure out what I need to do to open a title company there. So I have an excuse to go for vacation. But it didn't work out well. I don't speak enough Spanish for it to work. But that's what I'm saying. Now, Alan's got 11 months he's got a plan for it, right? Now, imagine he's got 11 months to meet his goal, right? I'm just going to throw a number out. Let's say he wants to make 1.1 million. No, 1.2 million, right? And he was going to make $100,000 a month. Had he not planned, at the end of the year, he's not going to make his goal. Or he's going to be screaming at the end of the year. Now, he knows, all right, if I need to make 1.1 to 1.2 million, I need to make what, like, let's call it 110,000 a month, right? So what does that change? That's the whole point of building a plan, is now you need to change what you do, because you know he can't produce well. I mean, maybe he could, but likely is you're on vacation, you're not going to produce. Right.
In this industry, they say you want to get busy, plan a vacation.
That's right.
Right.
That's very true.
That's my goal.
But if you didn't,
Away on a business
Todd, is
trip.
that you? You got? Close enough. Close enough.
Thank you so much, Kishore. That
No
was
problem.
actually very helpful information. And I just want to say one quick thing before you all head out, and that's in December. Our YPN meeting is going to be a social event. It's going to be Fire at the Ridge at Powder Ridge Mountain in Middlefield. It's a ski resort. They do skiing, tubing, and all different kinds of stuff. But they have a nice restaurant, and we get together in there. So
and
December 12th.
and
You know what we
David's
should do is everybody here, I'm not gonna make this, but everyone should plan to bring 1 or 2 people.
Yes.
Because I think otherwise we're not. gonna
that
get-
that event gets full. So just so you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
it gets
so-
busy.
I think David pays for all the food too.
David Minicozy does pay for appetizers for folks, so it's great. He's sponsoring, and I have a sign-up sheet here if you want to put your names on it, or of course you can sign up through the portal. And also,
So we're
thank you.
automatically just signed up as.
Yeah, I signed you up already, so you'll see the email when you get back. But thank you so much for participating in the YPN.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was great. And you're gonna get-
I'm gonna give them to Rachel to get out to everybody.
Rachel, you're gonna get us the slides.
Yes, I will.
And then
Thank you.
if anyone's interested in my newsletter, just send send me an email. It's Kishore at Closing CT. And I'll have Rachel also send me either share my email address for you guys too, or include me in the email so you can find me.
Yeah.
Ron wanted to talk to me, but
He did, he had to leave for a job.
no problem.
So we could always do it over the phone, but we have an issue with, oh, I like your blue, she was so cute. To get to our house, you've been to our house before.